will give directly. Yes, sir.
Okay. So I just sent you the slides,
Yes,
so
sir.
that if by chance there is no electricity, sometimes it happens here. When
Yes,
there
sir.
is big rain, sometimes it
Yes, sir.
happens.
Yes, sir.
So I
Yes, sir.
sent the slide, and probably I can use my mobile.
Yes, sir.
Then you can share the screen yourself, and then I can speak. That is
Okay, sir.
possible, isn't
Okay.
it?
Sir, 2 minutes, sir. Just now I received the YouTube link. I'll
Sure.
forward one and then I'll
Sure.
come. Sir.
Okay.
Jerishan.
Sir, I'm forwarding, sir. I'm forwarding.
வந்துருச்சா உனக்கு லிங்க் வந்துருச்சா?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got, sir. I'm forwarding it right now, sir.
The forward to everyone. சரியா?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm forwarding, sir.
Okay, okay.
Sir, I have forwarded, sir.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Yes, 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 yes.
It's live streaming on YouTube.
Yes, madam.
Play some video, sir, வர வரைக்கும்.
அதான் போட்டிருக்கணும்.
Prachand Mansar has joined us.
Yes, yes. அவங்களுக்கு ஸ்பெஷல் லிங்க் கொடுத்திருக்கேன். இந்த Zoomல ஜாயின் பண்ண சொல்லிருக்கேன்.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir, for joining, Dr. Prachand Mansar.
Yeah, it's my pleasure and nice to meet you.
Yes, sir. I think we have talked over phone, but this is the first time we are meeting. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. Thank you for accepting our invitation also, sir.
Yeah, it's my pleasure also.
Sir, 1 minute.
மேடம் என்னோட சிஸ்டம் கொஞ்சம்
எஸ் சார்.
என்னோட சிஸ்டம் கொஞ்சம் ஹேங் ஆகுது. ஹோஸ்ட் உங்களுக்கு போட சொல்லுவா?
இல்ல ஹோஸ்ட் எனக்கு போட்டேன்னா என்ன பண்ணணும்? ஷேர் பண்ணணுமா?
இல்ல சார், சாருக்கு பிரசன்டேஷன் லிங்க் கொடுத்து ஷேர் பண்ண வைக்கணும், அதான் கேக்குறேன்.
இல்ல நீ அது மல்டிபிள் ஆப்ஷன் போட்டேன்னா சார் ஷேர் பண்ணிடுவாங்க. அதுக்கு நீ ஹோஸ்ட்ல மாத்த வேண்டாம்.
ஓ அப்படியா?
அந்த ஷேர் ஸ்கிரீன் இருக்குல்ல,
ஆமா.
அதை கிளிக் பண்ணா மல்டிபிள் ஆப்ஷன் அப்படின்னு வருதா? வருதா?
இந்த வரேன்.
எனேபிள் ஆகல. இன்சென்ஸ் சார், அந்த கீழே கிரீன் கலர் பட்டன் ஷேர் ஸ்கிரீன் இருக்குல்ல, வின்சென்ட் சார்.
ஹலோ. ஆமா. மேம் சாருக்கு லிங்க் அனுப்பிச்சிட்டீங்களா?
ஆமா. ஏய், ஷேர் எனேபிள் பண்ண, மல்டிபிள் ஆப்ஷன் கொடு. ம்.
மேம் எந்த இடத்துல போய் மாத்தணும் அது?
கீழே அந்த கிரீன் பட்டன் ஸ்கிரீன் ஷேர், அதை கிளிக் பண்ணு.
இல்ல வேணுமா? Ma'am, I have given permission.
Is my screen visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
It's visible.
Yes.
Ma'am, good afternoon. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Warm welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Vincent, how are you?
Yeah, fine, sir. Fine, sir. Good,
Good.
sir. How are you, sir?
Good to see the Karunya photograph again.
Yes, sir.
You have built any new structures now?
No, sir.
No.
As of now. Yes, sir.
Okay. Good. Ma'am, you're going to allow people to come in or they will be seeing from outside?
YouTube. Sir, they are watching from YouTube and Facebook, sir.
Okay.
They will be posting their questions in the chat box. Then we will be reading the questions and you can answer.
Okay. You started the FDP in the morning today?
No, sir. Now only we are starting, sir. This is the first session.
Oh my God, this is the first session. I thought it's going on since morning. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this is the, okay. And after this, you have some more session or daily you have only one?
Daily we have one session, sir.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
No, I was under the impression that you have morning and evening session and probably this should go a little bit lightweight after the lunch.
Sir, actually, we are having we have organized for different departments, different timings, so that all can participate in various FDPs across departments.
Okay, I see Prachand Man Pradhan. Pradhan
sir.
ji, kaise
Hello.
hai?
I'm fine. I'm
Where,
fine.
where are you from?
I'm from Nepal.
Nepal. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How long it's since you joined here?
Sir is professor in Kathmandu University, sir. So he is a special invitee today, sir.
Kathmandu University. Okay, but he's
Nepal.
not faculty with us.
Yes, sir. No, sir.
Okay. Special invitee. Kathmandu. I have come there. No, I have gone to Bhutan. Kathmandu, I am yet to come.
Oh, you have not
But-
visited Kathmandu so far, huh?
My parents have come, and in
Okay,
fact, we have a lot of students from Nepal studying in our university in Gujarat.
Oh.
So I've been talking to all of them.
Mm.
So, ma'am,
Shall we start, sir? It's 2:30.
okay, people have come in.
Yes, sir. They are watching live on YouTube, sir.
Okay, and you're going to allow me to share, right?
Yes, sir. First, I will do a welcome
Introduce.
and introduce you, and then you can.
Sure. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to all those who have joined us for this FDP through the online platform of Zoom, and those who are watching through YouTube live and Facebook. Before going into the session, I would like to give a brief introduction of the guest speaker for today. Is Dr. S. Sundar Manogar, sir. He is presently the Director General of PDPU. He did his PhD from Indian Institute of Science, and he was working as a faculty in Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur, in various positions from 1997 to 2005. After that, he joined as director in UGC National Center for Nanosciences and Technology in the University of Mumbai from 2011 to 14, and he was involved in the 100 crore Nano Mission project. After that, he joined as a Vice Chancellor in Karunya University, and from 2014 to 2020, he has been Vice Chancellor in Karunya, Periyar Maniammai and Satyabama University. And to his credit, he has 19 patents, more than 120 publications, 7 awards and honors, and he has guided 14 PhD, and he has completed successfully more than 19 funded projects. I welcome you, sir, to this faculty development program. And sir will be talking today on the topic emerging process technologies amidst COVID-19. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Hemlata, for the introduction, and thanks to all the faculty members who are part of this FDP program. You're able to see the slide now, or should I need to share? I haven't shared the slide. Okay.
Yes, sir, you have to share, sir.
Okay. Are you able to see that, ma'am? No?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's now visible, sir.
Okay. Is it full screen?
Yes, sir.
Got
Yes,
it. Okay, so there we go. And I want to welcome all the participants to this faculty development program. As I understand, this is a series and this could be the first lecture. I was thinking that this lecture started in the forenoon session, but I understand I'm the first one to start the FDB program. So on the content of today's presentation, I chose to give some edge based on how COVID-19 has changed our perception more into the different aspects of structural engineering or the facilities that we need to look forward post this pandemic attack. And there are several examples that we can quote to cater to disaster management. But I first wanted to start with something which is of a lightweight, something more pleasant, not related to disaster per se. First one is about the clean room technologies. Most of the time, coming from the civil background also, we are not very much accustomed to the clean room technologies that we keep talking about. But clean room technology is not new, but at the same time, it's not a familiar technology as far as India is concerned. Once when I went to a university and asked for a 1,000 clean room facility, the person there misunderstood 1,000 for a 1,000-seater, whereas we were talking about the particle count. So this clean room technology is a challenging prospects for civil engineering. And also in terms of disaster management, clean room technology poses a very clear challenge. So let me just start with few graphs to show what a clean room technology is. This is a typical custom-made clean room. And as you see here, this is a room within a housing, which is having a very different spec compared to a clean room that we keep talking about. This is not a mere air-conditioned room. This is not a room which is specialized in lighting. This has a very different architecture compared to a conventional room. And if you think of this sort of rooms, it is there in most of the electronic industry. If you're having a gadget, for example, iPhone, before all the components are parked or are encapsulated, technically most of the chips are fabricated in an environment like this. So what is so great about these clean room technologies? First of all, you will see as much as possible in a medical grade clean room or in an electronic grade clean room, mostly the walls and the furnitures will be replaced by stainless steel. So as to keep away from germs and contamination. In terms of walls, glossy walls or epoxy coated walls replace the conventional distempered or oil painted walls. Reason? We need to have a zero absorption or a template which will repel bacteria and viruses. They can be easily removed by a simple spray of disinfectant, or you use a disinfectant wipe to clean it. Number two, in surfaces like stainless steel, usually you don't expect the bacteria or any pathogens to grow freely compared to wooden furniture or so. For example, in a clean room, you will probably see no wooden furnitures there. Main reason, because bacteria can easily breed over that. And in case of wooden or iron or even other surfaces, particle counts can increase and that can damage the product that we are developing. Therefore, when we talk about either a pharmaceutical process technology or an automobile process technology, or we talk about any healthcare technologies as well. Today, thanks to the clean room technology, even sophisticated hospitals are bringing this as a norm. Sometimes we blame our hospitals for charging us so much. For one day, they charge me 1 lakh, 2 lakhs, and we keep crying about it. But in some of the hospitals, it is worth paying the money because the gadgets and the operation theaters that we use are of this kind. Now, there are 3 components that I want to bring it to your attention. Number 1, the sort of specialized doors that we incorporate. Here you see in the middle cartoon of the picture that I have shown, there is a brown door and then a red door. These are all indicative of which one is the entry door, which is the exit door. And again, if you see the bottom picture, you can see the flooring is different, the windows are different. The window is reflecting something outside, but actually it's a see-through, and it's a double glazed window, specially to avoid precipitation or watering, because in the inside portion it will be much cooler, and also the outside portion has to maintain a relative humidity which is less than that. And the top view of this slide shows a special filtration. This is a clean room within a clean room, because that is actually giving you a lot of filtration. As you can see here, there are filters which are meant to be very specialized, which are called as HEPA filters. And HEPA filters are much more costlier than other filter grade materials that we have, which conventionally in a HVAC environment people use. So there are several issues to building a clean room, which is quite different from the regular architecture. If you look at the specs that I have listed on the right side of the slide here, you will see particle count is important, temperatures is important, airflow pattern is important, and the uniformity, lighting intensity level is important, air change, how much of fresh air you flush along with the recycled air is also important, and the ESD control, the sound level, recovery time, relative humidity, everything calls for a particular specs. And this is important as far as a clean room environment is concerned. Now, all these parameters need to be moderated according to the processing technology that you're talking about. But the most important parameter that distinguishes a structure from a clean room, a conventional architecture from a clean room, is the isolation table. And here you can see, typically, if a cabinet or a room is housed near to a metro rail, for example, you can think about primary airborne sound, which can be internally present, secondary airborne sound, which all can come out of a airborne sound that is coming from the metro, and the structure-borne sound which is coming, and over and above the thermal vibration that is coming. So you are talking about acoustic vibration, thermal vibration, and together this can actually rattle any structure which is sensitive to all these sort of vibrations. Now, in a clean room, we actually take through a vibration table. A vibration table is actually a slab which is disconnecting the room from the building and the building from the rest of the environment. Therefore, if you think of bulldozing a structure, and if you have a clean room inside, technically, even if there is a mechanical vibration or a thermal vibration or a acoustic vibration, nothing should technically harm. Now, in the pictures that I have shown you, you have to take care of all these 3 vibration and isolate your room. This is a cross-sectional view graph which talks about the number of elements that one has to take care when we are talking about setting up a clean room. That talks about the perforated flooring, for example, because if you're looking at a very low count of particle, then you need to have a HEPA ULFA clean room filters, not only on the top of the ceiling, but also you can see here, this is a perforated floor. Therefore, the flow of the air will be from the top directly being sucked to the floor, or it will be sucked through a return duct which is kept at the side of the wall. So when you think about a clean room, we are talking about many devices. First, we take care of the architecture of the ceiling, we take care of the design, we take care of the special equipments that need to be kept. For example, if it is a biological component and you have a specialty production equipment here, then the suction or the return air duct around this has to be different from the rest of the room. Here again, there is another cabinet here, and this cabinet is going to have a different return air effect compared to the rest of the room. So all these parameters need to be taken into account when you're talking about the clean room environment. Now, this view graph brings another challenge. It is not only important for us to take care of vibration, anti-vibration table on which the room has to be set. You need to take care of the flooring, you need to take care of the duct, we need to take care of the return air, how it is going. Here, in this case, they are dealing with electronic materials, and therefore, electronic materials cannot be exposed to the sunlight, also to anything that is visible. Therefore, here we are having a yellow light, which is more friendly for handling especially organic molecules or inorganic molecules, because in silicon technology, you are talking more about the components that we are making. Here is a processing technology for silicon industry, where they try to put many organic and inorganic compounds on the wafer in order to construct. For example, if you want to make a solar cell, or if you want to make panels of solar cell, this sort of environment is needed. Now, the civil engineering part is not that simple, as I have already told you, that you have to build a room within a room, a clean room within a clean room, in order to bring about or ensure 100% safety in terms of vibration, in terms of light penetration, in terms of return air, in terms of particle size count, and so on. So there are many issues that one needs to take care. And this is the last slide that I would like to show on the clean room technology. And here you can see the flooring also is very important. It has to take care of the electrostatic effect, and flooring has to be pucca. It is not merely painting it with some epoxy flooring, but it's a 4-tier mechanism by which you try to do that, including earthing, because there should not be any electrostatic response, or it should be free or friendly to electrostatic effects. And again, the clean room entry is another biggest protocol. Nowadays, because of COVID-19, almost the use of PPE has become a new normal. Now we are getting used to it. Now we even understand why we are wearing a PPE. Whereas in a conventional processing technology environment, PPE is a must protocol. Not only that, we cannot bring any foreign elements just like that. In fact, in this view graph, if you can see here, there are entry points by which you can transfer the material that you are bringing from outside. We never know what the contamination could be, but these are the boxes, transfer boxes, by which you can transfer all the materials to the processing processing laboratory. Therefore, a lot of care has to be taken when we talk about handling issues, especially in the electronic industry, in the healthcare industry. So put together, we may not term this as a disaster. Let's put it that way. Even if it is not a disaster, but you need to have a specific protocol for high-end applications. For example, in electronic industry, nanotechnology-based industry, or healthcare. Not only that, the same principles are drawn for keeping away from disaster. For example, Madam mentioned that I was a director of a nanotechnology center which was built for over 100 crore rupees. But most of the instruments of the order of 5 to 6 crore, but they are extremely sensitive. And not only that, if there is an earthquake, if there is any sort of a folly happening, we wanted to keep vibration isolation tables. Therefore, the concept is not only in terms of disaster, but also from the high-end technology point of view, we try to build this sort of issues. Along the same line, I have to tell you that we recently completed a DST project on magnetorheological dampers for seismic vibration. Dr. Hemlata was the PA for this project. And we have clearly seen the application is enormous. Today, bridges are there, high-rise buildings are coming, G10, above G10 buildings are all coming. Now, this sort of high-rise structures also require dampers. And today, we don't have very visibly seen application of MR dampers, even in high-rise buildings. But over the past 3 months during the lockdown period, more than 36 times there has been tremors of the order of 4.5 Richter scale, where the entire west coastal region, including all the way up to Delhi, has been experiencing tremor. We don't know what is this prelude to what is yet going to come. But we cannot ignore, we cannot simply take that as a data. But the big question is, do we have a methodology for the constructions that we are making for high-rise building from now on? Even if we have casually been, we have taken it for granted, we have forgotten it, is there a foolproof mechanism by which we can arrest these vibrations? So that is $1 million question. And one of the emerging area is the design of MR dampers, the design of MR fluid. That is where Karunya has filed more than 3 patents, and they are actually licensing both on the fluid, the real passive and active response of MR damper is being developed by Karunya University. So this is one area where we have to look for a prospect, because this cannot remain as a information. It has to go into a business model. And the government, the municipalities, the corporations needs to be sensitized, because today the work order that is carried out by government does not take into consideration the seismic issues in a big way. They are making some point. They are trying to take the minimum precaution, but vibration isolation is not very vividly taken. And these are other clean room technologies where you don't have to build from the scratch, but you can make modular ones within a room in a record time. Now let me switch gear and talk a little bit about the other emerging technologies, or I would put it as challenges surrounding COVID-19 for the disaster management. And this has been overwhelming. Let me start with this picture. And this is a picture of all the bullet trains that are lined up. And this is not a news of excitement. This is in fact a very, very sad situation for many days in Wuhan. This is in the Wuhan station periphery. All these bullet trains are parked. Reason, transportation have come to a standstill. There were days when people speculated that Earth will come to a standstill and there won't be transportation. But truly it has happened during our time. Transportation has come to a standstill, and the Wuhan government decided to completely isolate Wuhan from rest of China and rest of the world. And that is how they combated with the system. Now, this is a view picture, which is actually not a simulated picture, but a real picture that happened, where the stadium in Wuhan was completely converted into a COVID pandemic operation. The question that we need to ask is, in India, do we have such a capability? And it was told that within 48 hours, this particular shelter was made to take care of the growing rise in numbers of COVID patients in Wuhan province. And this is one picture that will tell that there is a sheer challenge for civil engineering fraternity to come up with the prefab structures, modular structures which can be erupted in terms of disaster. But sad to say that in our country, not even a single stadium was converted into a emergency situation. Rather, most of the educational institutions were asked to donate their premises in order to combat with the quarantine related issues, which is a very, very sad situation, that we don't have any stadium or any common arena which can be converted. Question for the civil engineers is, do we have a 24/7 mechanism by which we can create such infrastructure? Do we have the specs for that? This is a very intriguing question which we need to take into consideration. This is another view graph that you can see between 40 days time in China, in Wuhan especially, a gray area which was unoccupied suddenly turned as a patch of white, what you can see here. That patch of white is nothing but the entire housing that was constructed in 48 hours time. This is not just 1 or 2 cents of area. This was involving more than 15 acres of area, which was completely converted into a COVID housing zone. So question is, do we have such a housing facility? Here is again another view graph of a stadium converting into a hospital for combating with the disaster management. Now, this is a very good recipe for the people in civil engineering to think whether we have such free structures. Not only we need temporary housing, but we also need according to the medical grade. So it is not simply putting shamiana, but it has to have all the prerequisites of a healthcare situation. So that is one thing that we need to understand. In terms of emerging technologies, not only the modular part or the prefab part, but we also need to graduate slowly for a modular construction. Now, this sort of constructions may be done in part in some of the regions in India, but this has not come as an end-to-end solution for constructing modular walls and modular structures in a record time. So we need to ask this question time and again to see how far we have matured in such technology. This sort of modular constructions also bring in principles of 3D printing. Now, 3D printing, we have been talking about it, but we have not literally demonstrated even a gypsum grade material for 3D printing for modular construction. These are very effective. Just now I found another participant, a professor from Nepal, places where seismic zones where the situation is very, very prone for seismic vibration. We need to have this sort of modular constructions that should come in place. And we don't even have a capability nowadays to make such wall-to-wall construction in a record time. So this is one area that is of challenge. Now, for civil engineering fraternity, we need to think beyond mere walls. Here is a situation that happened way back in January beginning of this year, where when Wuhan started sensing that it's a big pandemic that is on spread, there was a very clear manifestation of what they want to do. And here you can see the tunnel, the sanitizing chamber through which they were taken in. And we do have these tunnels coming up. Now, this will become a new norm even in the offices, big sectors, service sectors, even in educational institutions, this may become a new normal. But the question for us is, we cannot build this in a permanent basis. But do we have low-cost machinery to bring about same changes? And do we have the chemistry part of the sanitizing solution in place? Do we have a design for nano mist so that we can optimize on the wastage of the sanitizers? These are all big questions. Now, we can conveniently go and start buying from a vendor. In fact, this is a prime opportunity for such enterprises, technologies to come. In fact, for next 2-3 years, until the pandemic completely dies down, this will be the new normal. Now, when we talk about our own universities, do we have this as a solution? Have we designed something where we can talk about temporary establishments or a framework where we can do this sort of operation? These are all million-dollar questions for us. Now, the other thing that we need to understand, the civil engineers especially, that from now on, the common places are going to be more sensitive. Design of the common places like malls, airports may have to take a new look now. Here is another view graph happened in early part of this year when the pandemic was on a huge spread. Now, Chinese went about creating robots to dispense, robots to take care of measuring the temperature. So for a contactless mode, here are some robotic arms that are coming in a big way to help. Now, is this the new normal? If that is the case, are we really going to wake up to this situation, or we are merely satisfied about procuring this instrument is the question. Now, when we talk about disaster management, so far it was always thought about it's a engineering solution that should come from civil, but I disagree with that. In the present situation, all the departments in the engineering and technology, including sciences, have to come for a common solution, for a one-stop solution for any sort of a challenge that we are facing. So these are some examples that I want to bring in for you to think in advance, where all the opportunities for civil engineers to come in. Here you can see, in spite of the pandemic, people still cannot keep away from mass media, auditoriums, and here people are seeing, but they are all isolated. Now, this is not a good business venture, but if this is the case, all the malls and other places will go berserk. They will go on a huge loss. So what is the new design that we can think of in case we are going to live in this sort of a pandemic attack for some more years? Do we have any solution, or we are going to repurpose some of the facilities that we have? Here is another situation where you can see the pandemic can really multiply exponentially when it comes to small or thickly crowded places. This is a view graph taken from Dharavi in Bombay, where healthcare workers had a big problem to isolate them. And here is another one, high-rise building being sanitized. Do we have one structure or facility today where we have sanitized a G+4 structure? No. In India, we are yet to hear about it. All the high-rise structures from outside has not been sanitized at all for many days, many months. But we don't have a protocol so far emerging. But this is clearly a civil engineering problem. How do we have solutions to clean the glass pans of high-rise buildings, but we don't have a mechanism for sanitizing or sterilizing structures. Here again, there is another cartoon that talks about willfully keeping people away from each other in restaurants. If that is the case, putting a mannequin in front of structures where people can be distant. So several new normals are emerging in every area of entertainment or other marketplace situation. Here is another view graph that talks about the emerging technologies that we need to have in mind, or the new normal that is setting in. A very sad situation of burial happening on the left side, the patch, a mass burial ground. We have never thought about such situation. Perhaps after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, bulk level of funeral in a big level has never happened. But here is a very sad situation that happened in Spain. And even people who are coming for burial are being isolated. You can see that in Brazil, the burial happened to be in a seashore because they couldn't really manage the number of deaths. These are all very, very difficult situations, and we don't know, we don't have any one-stop solution for that. But we have to think along. In case of a pandemic attack, if such situation comes, what is the civil engineering solution that we have? Here, although in India it is forbidden to have convocation, I'm sure Karunya must have had that convocation in the month of July, but you didn't have, mainly because of social distancing. But in universities abroad, they still went ahead. But you can see the pattern they followed for their graduation. Very sad situation, but yet it had to happen. But do we have a solution for mass gatherings like that? Or we think that we need to suspend our social gatherings because of the threat? This is $1 million question for us to think about. And these are all places where new technologies need to come. And this last one here on the right side, left side, we see how the air hostess is isolating herself from the passengers. This is again a new normal. But do we have a solution to physically keep the passengers separate? That is something we thought about. And the grocery being delivered in a hot zone where the entire transport was masked and people had to give and share. But we don't have any solution of and to combat this situation. This is the last slide as far as this requirement is concerned. This is a view graph that was taken after a hurricane in one of the New Orleans in USA. You can see the indoor stadium was immediately converted for sheltering all those who were ravaged by a hurricane. Tell me one stadium or one enterprise in India that we can quickly convert for disaster management. We don't have. Now we need to think about it. There is no point in blaming the government. There is no point in blaming for lack of fund. But whenever the complexities grow, simplicities also have to come. So we may not be able to immediately solve, but we can sensitize the government with the small prototypes, which can clearly demonstrate how in a record time we can convert such mass arenas into a sheltering home. So this is one thing that we need to have in mind. I want to switch gear from the monotony of what we have been talking. There are other processing technologies that are becoming ripe, not just for disaster management per se, but even that is becoming a new normal where civil engineers cannot keep their eyes closed, because this is going to displace some of the technology and business for civil engineering people. In that case, a knowledge of energy demands, a knowledge of electronics is very much needed for people, those who are majoring in civil. And this is one useful information, energy harvesting technology for the future. I'm just showing you few slides. These are not made up stories, but these are real-time examples. What are these? Kinetic footwall. You are actually walking in a pavement in Europe, but actually every step you take is generating electricity, energy. The mechanical force is converted into electrical energy. Therefore, this energy, even in the walkway in a city downtown, is actually becoming sensitive as far as energy is concerned. And again, you have the kinetic roads. Roads cannot be kept away from traffic. And in place like India, we have traffic throughout the night. And energy in special tracks are made where with the speed and with the load, the energy is, the speed is converted into energy. And this is energy is being harvested through the highways and byways in Europe. And this is happening as of now. The other thing is the photovoltaic glaze. Now, high-rise buildings are typically turning into energy harvesters. We are still trying to grapple with the solar structures or panels that we are housing on the rooftop. But across the nations, around the globe, people are going from mere housing of solar panels on the rooftop. They are going for glazing the walls also. Now they are technically getting replaced even by the cement ceiling that we are putting on the wall. Nowadays, flexible cells or photovoltaic glazes are being used to cover the walls. So this is again a disruption that is coming in place, and we need to be careful that we don't just stay quiet where we will be losing time and some other technology may take over. Other technology that is coming very, very fast is the self-healing concrete. But if you understand, but for very specialized structures, this has not become a new normal in our civil engineering applications. We are yet to see this self-sealing concrete which is coming. For want of time, I'm going to skip because this is a technology by itself, which has potential for marketing and for commercial activity. For us, we need to think, because when we talk about a disaster, suppose we want to repurpose a structure which suffered slight damage but which can still survive. Do we have this sort of mechanism to repurpose such facilities is the question. Lastly, Madam, do I have some time?
Another 15 minutes.
Okay, maybe 10 minutes I'll take, and then do I have time for question answers?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Lastly, I will just go through, because this is a big subject by itself, but I cannot hide this, my excitement, because we have already started this work of 5G applications in our university in Gujarat. So I am sure there is great potential in Karunya, where you should really concentrate on this, because bringing 5G technology into energy, construction, transportation is a core business for civil engineers. Therefore, we cannot keep quiet, because this particular 5G technology, 5G application is mingled between the human-computer interaction, conventional reality, and perception. So human, computer, and environment put together. So it is a very good opportune time for civil engineers to work alongside with electronics engineers and also with the computer science people to make sure that all the civil engineering part of the story is mingled with the use of 5G technology. And when I say 5G technology, the 5G spectrum used in toto with the immersive realities which are coming from virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. Now, I have given some view graph to drive home this point. Please allow me to share few slides. 5G as a boost for virtual reality in companies. Now, for smart city situation, 5G is going to be the new normal. In 5G, we are going to actually take that, because of the low latency slice, the AR, VR, and the application is going to be very, very fast, because the scaling time is going to be 10 times faster than the 4G. As a result, in real time, you will be able to map structures. Nowadays, in video transmission or in video, we are not able to perceive, because there is still limitation with the 4G technology. But 5G is coming very fast. In fact, Verizon is overly working in US, but Reliance Industry recently announced, and in their collaboration with Microsoft, they are bringing 5G technology in a big way. And this mixed reality 5G technology put together is going to be a very good disaster response as far as civil engineers are concerned. And I want you to think about this in a very big way. Now, when we talk about mixed reality, as I told you, this comes from a combination of VR virtual reality and augmented reality. I will show you some structures. Suppose this is a real structure that has been designed in foreign country with a multiple story, and there is also a cycling ramp which is kept there for workout, and this is also covered by greenery. But in technically speaking, you can actually go slice every floor by floor, the rooftop to everything. You can measure by the distances, not by looking at some 2D pictures, but using augmented reality or using mixed reality, you will be able to get the specs. What I shown you is the track ramp, what I have shown. But typically, if you wear the mixed reality lens, you can go section by section and you can get to know the dimensions, the projection, the sort of 3D contour, everything can be seen, even without visiting the structure in person. This is the effect that you can get, and this is going to affect in a big way the construction technologies. Recently, there was an article about the petroleum technology excavation, which is happening onshore and offshore, and they are projecting a 300% increase in the use of mixed reality, because in places where it is disaster prone, not only that, even if major disaster is not there, because of COVID, all these operations have been curtailed, mainly because manpower had to be sliced down. But in such cases, mixed reality has come in a big way to monitor the entire operation of subsea operations, can be easily done using mixed reality, where you don't have to depute a person to a place which is vulnerable for any disaster. So in terms of subsea technologies for the petroleum refining or for petroleum extraction, mixed reality is now going to substitute in a big way, and the output is going to be nearly 200% if we combine AR VR into oil excavation. This is again going to become a new normal for the architects. Architects are going to benefit with the mixed reality in a big way, because you can see floor to floor, you can inspect all the effects if you can have mixed reality in place. Here is a situation where you can exactly bring the entire structure to a reality for you, and you can do a thorough due diligence before you can even start building this one. I have several structures for that. Here is another one conveying the same new normal, and this is going to bring about a greater clarity both for those who are investing, those who are even waiting for their room or bedroom or structures that are coming. They can literally have a virtual tour of the coordinates that they are expecting to have. And in fact, it is going to affect in a big way even for interior design. Not only we are trying to render some 3D design, but we can actually create it even before we start planning for this one. Here is another example of the same, where you can slice, go down view for view on different specs that we are looking for. Here is another example I would like to skip. And here, when you try to take it in a bigger fashion as a community, as a municipal issues, you can create the same situation in a 3D model, your downtown, and you can even plan the disaster management issues that can spring from such a close-knit community. So not only building a structure, but building a township and then looking at it on the whole to see how you can generate the soft areas for disaster management. So this can become a thorough analysis if you can incorporate mixed reality, which is going to be the new normal. And again, and from the architectural point of view, you can bring about many events, many decisions that you can make, and you can brainstorm on several issues before you can even kickstart on your projects. Here you can even animate such a effect. You can go around the building. You can try to see if you have missed out any of the vulnerable points in the disaster management using mixed reality. So this is something where the department has to invest, the school or the university has to invest to become stronger, so that you not only learn this new technology, but you can actually do several consultancy work with the sort of expertise that you have. This is again a view picture specially designed after a big community is planned. You start looking at the disaster management protocols, whether that are in place in such a crowded environment. This is a very intriguing example that one can think of. I'll just skip. This can even become a study material. Our classrooms soon will turn out to be that. No more waiting for printed 3D models or ball and stick models for realizing what you are trying to propose. This is the new normal that will set in the near future in the classroom as well. This is one last thing that I want to share with you. The issue is not only about previewing, but using mixed reality in places where you can't reach. You can even get all the specs pertaining to the entire operation of shifting blocks, whatever parameters that you want to know, without even housing a person on the top. You can try to get all the details. So you can get all the specs that is needed in a construction area like this, just by standing in one corner and getting the information. Lastly, I want to show how converting buildings to hospital in the healthcare, how people are using mixed reality. I'll skip this. Here you can see how they have made a emergency layout, and even if it is a tent sort of a situation, how you can have clarity as to make some mobile units like this. This is also using mixed reality. You can try to bring it, and also you can discuss along with the doctors even before you construct. You can simulate a operation theater, and specs for specs you can bring more clarity. So you can define to the engineers who are going to design your OT theater what sort of equipments have to be in which proportion, what is the angle, everything can be foretold. So typically you can scout your project management committee, your architect, if you are a physician, as to what you would like to see in an operation theater, which as of now is $1 million question. So these things are soon going to overtake us. But the question is, are we really there? So merging the real and digital world is going to become an experience, although COVID is keeping us away. But COVID itself will bring us to this new normal, where even our classes are going to happen, something like that. And now this will affect service unit, manufacturing unit, design, operations, everything will go in a big way investing into this AR experience. And you can see the amount of projected growth of augmented reality in several sectors. It is growing exponentially. So we need to invest into it. And who is investing the most into augmented reality? You can see automotive, in the telecom, healthcare, retail, consumer, industry, industrial products, everywhere it is soaring high, and it is going in very high proportion. Now with the pandemic in place, this investment is going to overtake many of the investment. But if you as a university want to plow in, I would suggest that you go for a mixed reality, because that is more costlier, but mixed reality will bring even a structure, a multi-story structure into the classroom in the midst of a person, rather than asking him to have a feel in the video, in your mobile, or seeing a structure and VR, what we usually are used to in a 3D theater. So my suggestion to all those who are hearing, you may look at the application of mixed reality for the days to come. So I have highlighted to you some of the emerging technologies, not necessarily with the disaster in background, but technologies which in the present pandemic situation is becoming more and more relevant. And I just hope Karunya will be able to invest more into this one. And also those hearers from other institutions will have some take-home message from here. We cannot be mute spectators. Get into some real commercial enterprise, especially clean room should become a new normal in our educational institutions. And we don't have to go to others, but we can make such isolation tables ourselves. And also we have to be prepared for combating any sort of events that we are experiencing right now. So with these few words, let me stop here and take some questions from you if you have.
Sir, thank you very much for the very informative presentation, taking us from clean room to mixed reality on the new norm, which civil engineers have to focus on. Because we as civil engineers, we have a traditional way of thinking, but really you have enlightened us to think multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, grow up across barriers and break the barriers and grow across the disciplines. To find out new solutions for the humanities to solve the problems. Thank you so much for your informative presentation, sir. We will have few quick questions if we have.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
If there are no more lectures after this session, I
Yes,
don't
sir.
mind taking some more questions. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Jerushan?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here.
Yeah, you can post the questions which is asked from the chat box.
So far, no questions has been asked.
Participants, if you have any questions, kindly post in the chat box so that we can ask it to sir. Okay. Sir, I think you have given a different perspective to the civil engineering view, so all are digesting it and they are working on it.
Yeah.
So, yes, sir. So you can give your concluding words, sir.
Sure. I think some of the faculty members are here. So if you have any questions, you ask.
Yes, sir. Sir, in the university, we actually we don't have a clean room facility, as you have mentioned.
Yes.
So, under what applications can we have a clean room, sir? Under for what research or what applications we can have or we can develop a clean room facility?
Yeah, you have all branches of engineering. First of all, a clean room should be developed by the electrical communications engineering department, where they talk about VLSI, talk about electronic equipments. So those who are working on electronic components need to have a clean room. And you also have a nanotechnology center. In combination with them, you should be able to do that. But this clean room can be of use for several people, not just for electronics, for microelectronics, but also those who are working in physics, those working in mechanical engineering, and biotech. Everybody can use. So you need to have a common layout, but with different entry, so that different people can use it for different applications, and you can provide isolation.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. Sir,
yes,
we have a question in a chat box.
Yeah.
So I will say it. How important is to be environmentally responsible in bringing up new innovations to cater the new normal?
Okay. See, this question is actually in part answered in my um, lecture. When you talk about clean room, definitely the way we recycle the duct, the return air is a very important protocol. Mind you, many people died in Spain, in Italy, and also in US, mainly because the clean room or the hospital duct played a tricky role. The return air was not treated properly. Therefore, there in US, they don't, most of the structures are 90% air conditioned. Now, because they didn't have a clue of that, it went viral and people died in masses. So we need to be environmentally very careful in the sense we need to know for which attack we have to provide what solutions. They innocently rushed everybody to a normal hospital, whereas the return air duct played a big havoc as far as mass death was concerned in Europe and USA. So our obligation is we need to take care of the effluents. When we talk about hospital environment, how much we scavenge the return air through through filters so that we can ensure a free air that is let out. Same is true for industries. Scrubbers. The word scrubber is very least known in Indian industries. Whether it is a chemical industry or pharmaceutical industry, scrubbers are very important. At the same time, even the treatment, water treatment, especially in industries where they are using dyes, it is a grave problem. So when we're talking about not only new normal, even now industries are indulging in violating the norms. We are not really taking care of ourselves with the emission, with the sort of effluents that are coming out of the industry. And in the academic area, I think by and large, we have been very careful. For example, Karunya, we have a very good STP and even the labs are very nicely done as far as safety measures are concerned. But I'm talking on the whole about the industry at large. We have to be environmentally very, very sensitive. And the point is the law enforcing officers are not in place. The safety norms are not still written on the wall. Therefore, people take it for granted once they start their operation. So we don't have a strict protocol on those safety measures. I see this problem more in the commonplace than in educational institutions.
Yes, sir. Sir, we have another question from Mr. Paul Irderaj. So,
Yeah.
what is mixed reality in designing buildings? How nanotechnology helps?
Nanotechnology doesn't help in the mixed reality in designing structures. Let me put that in two ways. Mixed reality is different from augmented or virtual reality. That's why I said, if you want to make investment, you make straight on mixed reality. For example, a civil engineer is talking about a transportation structure. He or she can simulate the entire design in 3D. It will come hanging in the air. If you touch it also, it doesn't get damaged, but it is an optical image that will come, and that will be simulated, which will give you a 3D depth into the height and width and breadth of this entire structure. So this mixed reality is a combination of computer science, a combination of human perception, everything put together. Therefore, this has nothing to do with nanotechnology, but in nanotechnology, whatever we want to conceive or perceive can also be simulated using mixed reality. Therefore, a person can think of how it would happen. For example, you made a drug that is in nano form, a drug encapsulation, which you call it as a nano drug. But you may not know how this nano drug will operate against a pathogen. In mixed reality, you can technically see how it will go, whether it will be site specific and what it will do to the pathogen when it really reaches that site. So that can be simulated using mixed reality. Therefore, it is a win-win combination for almost all sectors. You can bring it alive instead of a dormant lecture. You can almost bring an elephant in the midst of a classroom and teach everything about the elephant rather than talking through a 2D picture.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
So there's another question from Mr. Jibraj. So,
Yeah.
sir, can you please brief about nanoparticle disinfectants?
Nanoparticle?
Nanoparticulate disinfectants.
Disinfectants. Okay. There is, as of now, there is no nano solution as disinfectant. Mostly, these are the nano spray or nano mist that is created in the sprinkler. Sprinkler, you know that you can atomize to a micron size. But nano mist is a new technology which is presently used in civil structures for combating fire in high-rise structure, where the fire tenders cannot reach immediately. Those places are actually installed with atomizers, where it can specifically check which zone in that room or floor is there, and it can quickly activate the nearby atomizers. And this nano mist has 10 times more efficiency than your water jet that you're using, the firemen are using. So it is not the quantum of water that you use to damp the fire. It is the surface area that you provide in order to quench the fire and the intensity. So nanoparticulate, it is not a chemical formulation, rather it is a mechanical way of distributing or splitting or atomizing the particle. That's what is presently used in the sanitizer. But we have some nano formulations coming for herbal sanitizers, where it is free from alcohol. Those are not sprinklers, but dispensers which brings herbal sanitizers, which has nano drugs encapsulated in it, which has the ability to sort of eliminate the lipid layer of the pathogens. For example, COVID. The real problem is a lipid structure. If that dissolves, then the COVID gives away its effectiveness. So you need a nano formulation that can last for 14 seconds of rubbing. For example, you're using alcohol. Alcohol vaporizes in 5 to 7 seconds. Not necessarily it can kill the pathogen, but a pathogen usually takes 15 seconds on real rubbing for the lipid layer to be dissolved. So nano formulations have come in a big way in terms of sanitizers, hand rub sanitizers, which can totally destroy the pathogen. I think I have given you two perspectives. One is about the sprinkler. In case you are talking about the tunnel, that is only through a mechanical mean, but the other one is the formulation. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Sir, another question. Kindly provide some information about EIA 2020.
EIA 2020, I am not right away having the information, but if you can give me the email, I can stay in touch and I can forward data for that.
Sir, another question. Are there any codes for designing clean rooms?
No, there are a lot of agencies which will be willing to teach you clean room, but I would say that you should go to the nearest clean room establishment that you can see. If you are in Chennai, there are definitely some institutions, and CMC Vellore also has a stem cell technology which has a clean room. So if you know a nearest neighbor who is having it, that's fine. But My feeling is, first of all, you should take a view of what a clean room, how it is physically placed before you take a course. But this is a good option for Karunya to float a 3 months course also, if you want, because there are so much to learn, because there is so much of mechanical issues involved, so much of civil involved, so much of the logistics, project management that is involved, which involves sensors. Therefore, EC people are also needed to teach, and then HVAC, which comes in directly with EEE. There are a lot of lectures that you can give on several issues, including physics and chemistry of it, right from floor management, epoxy flooring, everything is an exciting topic. Therefore, you can have a 3-month course on clean room technology. But as of now, no university is offering that. It's a good question. Actually, it can give some incentive for those who are hearing to even offer this stuff. But as of now, if you want, there are some clean room companies. For example, we used iClean for our Bombay facility. If you want, one person can come and even give guest lectures during the weekends. So probably that's the way you can get a certification course. But a course for 3 months is needed for you to understand the entire logistics of it.
Thank you, sir. So we have another question from Engineer Titumir Hassan. Is there any specific materials for disaster mitigation of residential building?
Is there any particular material?
For disaster mitigation of residential building.
Residential building, as of now, phase changing materials are also coming in a big way. I'm sure the chief engineer of Karunya recently got his PhD on the same topic, phase changing material which can absorb, take away heat. That is one way of looking at it. The other way, what we are now talking about is, in a pandemic situation, it is not the phase changing material, it's more about a touch me not situation, whether the pathogen will grow on the surface or it will be reluctant. Therefore, we don't have a material like a cement material that I can recommend right away. It's again $1 million question. The problem today, why people are dying more even in ICU, is because of the return air which is circulating inside, where the pathogens are hanging, giving a severe threat for even the doctors and nurses. And not only that, the epoxy sort of a finish is not there in many of the hospitals. Therefore, that is also creating problem. So if you are walking, even as a attendant, there is a sheer possibility that you can catch some infection. So as of now, if you ask me, one robust material is epoxy material, which can be used in walls. But other than that, in healthcare units, they consciously use stainless steel at the most. Now, in residential buildings, we don't have a formula. Best thing is your matte finished areas need to be treated properly. That can be very, very threatening. So when you're traveling in the lift, don't lean on the lift. When you're walking by, don't try to hold any side support. Best thing is to walk with minimum contact with the environment in the residential building. But again, elevators can be a very contagious place where you can catch. Better to use a staircase, and also crowding in such places is not encouraged. Now, we don't know whether the pathogens rest in the greenery. That is another $1 million question. If that is the case, even walking in lawn and other places can become a big problem. But again, I have to answer to the question is, we don't have a special material which we can use in the residential areas of now.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we have another question from Mr. Anand Raj.
Yeah.
What is the acceptance range of viable organisms in clean rooms for accommodating COVID patients? Or it should be 100% free from any viable organisms.
Can you repeat? It's a long
Yes,
question.
sir. What is the acceptance range of viable organisms in
Yeah.
clean rooms for accommodating COVID patients?
Okay. See.
Sir, 1 minute. I'll complete
Yeah.
the question. Or it should be 100% free from any viable organisms.
Okay. The question here is tricky because in hospitals, there is a air that is circulating. It's not open format. There is a duct which is circulating air. Now, in some hospitals where they are trying to manage for namesake, they will not put filters. They will just run it through fan and maybe air conditioning. But what is very, very important is the sort of filter that they use. HEPA. HEPA filter is very important for filtering pathogens because your pathogens are in the range of 80 to 120 nanometer. Now, most of the filter, why our mask also is very, very tricky. N95 mask, K95 mask, why they are all tricky is because they can filter only up to 150 nanometer. They cannot filter at 80 nanometer. For your, don't get scared. It is not a foolproof mechanism for none of the mask as of now to filter in that range. Although they say 99% it will keep away virus and all that, the mesh is not meant to filter at that range. Therefore, you have a problem in the hospital. So best thing is when you're supplying the air and when you're returning the air, don't return the air 70% and put 30% fresh air. You try to flush it with at least 70% fresh air and 30% return air. That is one solution in the hospital. And equipments, try to replace as much with stainless steel and keep wiping. That is the only way we can keep the hospitals as of now. There is no immediate solution for now. So in terms of disaster mitigation, for example, our president of our PDPU University, Dr. Mukesh Ambani, he has spent nearly 500 crores to create a facility only for COVID. He has constructed a hospital. I'm told, I have not visited personally, but I'm told every equipment there is of a COVID-proof scale. They have invested so much that first of all, it will take care of the healthcare patients before taking care of the patients per se. So we need a new design altogether.
Thank you, sir. We have another question from Bivin Ebenezer. What technology can we retrofit to existing conditioning system to disinfect an air in public space like airport, metro, etc.?
What? Repeat again.
What technology can we retrofit to existing conditioning system to disinfect an air in public space like airport, metro, etc.?
Yeah. See, again, I go back to the same module because depending on the expenses, usually they try to circulate. But at the entry level, when the water is flushed into the system, into the airport or hospital, in the entrance area itself, in the entry point itself, as it is coming through the chiller, you will keep HEPA filter. But in hospitals, each zone is having a HEPA filter in the ceiling. But in the airport, it is a duct which is having HEPA filter in the beginning of the entry point. So it may travel through several kilometer range within the airport, but necessarily having only one zone to filter. So in order to have a remediation, it is better to have many filters incorporated along the way in the duct so as to make sure that finally when it is going to different zone at the entry point of different zone, for example, ground floor domestic arrival launch, or security launch, immigration launch. Every area is a zone. So each zone has to be compartmentalized, and you have to have a supply air, which is having a filter. So if you want me to sum it up in one word, increase number of HEPA filters. But commercially not viable, because HEPA filters are very, very expensive. So people who are running such establishments will be very reluctant. But that is the only way to provide foolproof.
Sir, thank you, sir. That's all the question session, sir. Questions are
Sure.
over here.
Sir, I thank Dr. Sundar Manohar sir for his thought-provoking presentation and taking up the questions. He has taken more than half an hour and explained all the doubts of the participants. I thank you so much, sir. I once again thank all the participants for being part of this session. And the feedback link will be posted and you can give your feedbacks there. Tomorrow's session will start at 2:30, and Dr. K.P. Jaya, Director Research, Anna University, will be giving the lecture. Thank you once again for joining. See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I hope all those listeners from different organizations, and especially Karunya, will first buy mixed reality gadgets and
Sure,
make it a compulsory tutorial for faculty and for students in MTech. You have to implement that in record time. Otherwise, everybody will start using it in 1 year time. So investment, definitely you need 10 to 15 lakhs. Please make a request, get that, and bring it to the curriculum, demonstrate as an example in each department. Okay, and then the industry will also get excited to collaborate with you. Okay, thank you, and thanks for having me. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Prashant Mansar.
Yeah, it was. Thank you. It was a really nice presentation, and
Yes, sir.
yeah, I could. The place that Professor S. Manohar was explaining, I had also been there in the Wuhan.
Yes, sir.
So, and it is really nice to see things once again in Wuhan, as presented by the professor.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. See you tomorrow, sir.
See you. Yeah, see you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Ma'am.
Stop live sharing, live